Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the IWC Vintage Aquatimer reference 3231-01. You can see this stainless steel homage to IWC's rich history and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images that don't include my wrist, and of course complete pricing details for this IWC Vintage Aquatimer. Launched in 2008, the Vintage Aquatimer is not literally a vintage watch, but a vintage homage, a watch in the image of the original IWC reference 812 AD Aquatimer of 1967. This watch recapitulates much of that watch's charismatic style, but unlike a vintage diver, you can actually take this one in the water. It is the best of both worlds with a manufacturer IWC caliber inside and a contemporary stance on the wrist. While the original was large for its time, this one is full-sized by the standards of ours. 44 millimeters across the round of the case, not inclusive of crowns, one for the internal rotating bezel, one for winding and setting the movement. The watch is reasonably slim at 14.5 millimeters, and it will fit underneath most tight sleeves or formal cuffs. Being a black dial with a white metal and a black strap, this is a timepiece that could be worn well with either bathing, smart casual, or even business attire. Quite versatile. The watch measures 52 millimeters from lug to lug, but because the lugs are sharply downturned and relatively short cropped, the watch doesn't flare out over the edges of your wrist. If you're borderline for this watch, it's still going to wear well with security and style. I would say you could wear this watch down to a wrist size of about 14.5 centimeters in circumference with, yes, security, style, and even panache. Now, one feature that I really appreciate about IWC's tribute to its diving past is that unlike many vintage tribute watches of the modern era that include a embossed leather strap in the style of the vintage rubber Tropic straps, this IWC natural vulcanized rubber strap really is rubber. So not only does it have the same beautiful diamond pattern, inverse hobnail underneath with embossed texture on the top, but it actually serves the same purpose as the vintage straps. It can go in the water, and isn't that the purpose of a water sports watch? Thank you, IWC, for noticing the obvious and including this robust and practical piece. Plus, with the evacuations on the underside, the pockets and the channels, it allows sweat, heat, moisture, grit, and oil to escape the wrist on hot days. A traditional pin buckle in steel, beautifully made with a polished bevel and a satin top, allows easy adjustability on the fly and maintains the vintage vibe. Now, moving back to the case, it's designed to recall the old Irvin Piquerez super compressor cases of the 1950s and 60s and 70s. Now, they were shared across many brands, the hallmark of the type being the dual crowns, one for the internal rotating bezel and one for the mechanism. Here, the case, the movement, the execution is entirely IWC, and you see there's a gorgeous vertical satin finish contrasting with small elements of polish. It wears the polish like jewelry. It's not garish or overbearing as some full polished cases can be. You can see the satin finish on the flank contrasting with the polish of the lug hoods. The lugs are spare, short, fit easily on a wrist, and complement the style of the watch. The dial is dominant as the bezel, such as it is externally, is pared down to emphasize the internal rotating bezel, which is both an aesthetic and functional feature of the watch. Now you can see as I pull the two crowns, one of them, a ratchet for the internal rotating bezel. It allows you to align the index with the minute hand, and I always find that this is more useful than a true mechanical chronograph. The simple analog display of the minute hand registered against a rotating bezel scale, for me, is the most visible and useful way to time short intervals. I love the functionality whether I'm diving or not, and hint, hint, I never dive. The matte finish of the dial, just like on a pilot's watch, avoids glare and allows for outstanding legibility. Fully luminescent with superluminova, it glows like a torch at night. There is a discrete date window for easy reference to this information with a monotone black date disc. It blends in when not needed. Now the second crown, which I'm going to screw out, for it is a screw down unit, actuates the IWC 28 joule bidirectional automatic winding manufacturer caliber 80110. hacking seconds, as you can see, allowing precise synchronization to a reference time. There's also a quick set for rapidly cycling the date to correct the watch. It does feature a display case back, unlike the original, and although water resistance at 120 meters doesn't approach the leaders in class, chances are you would trade much of the handsome aesthetic of this dual crown setup and display case back for that extra capability, which, let's be honest with ourselves, most of us will never need. 120 meters, or about 400 feet, is just fine for water sports. You can see bidirectional automatic winding. The system does incorporate the Peloton winding system with its index wheel and pawl array. Bidirectional winding, very tough. It has a higher degree of shock resistance than most systems, and in use at IWC since the early 1950s, it is a Schaffhausen original. You can see the balance beating way at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's a robust standard modern beat rate, sometimes known as the high beat rate, that allows for precise timekeeping, and in every respect, this is a watch that could pull double or even triple duty. It's a sports watch. It's a casual watch. It's a land watch. It's a water watch. It's a poolside watch. It's an office watch. It's all of that and a beautiful homage to the rich history of IWC Schaffhausen. You can see and you can purchase this vintage aquatimer, reference 323101, on our website.